What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi and Eric Sheets-Haber. Hope you're all having a good Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I did not, as it turns out, do as well in the golf as it looked like I was going to do. What a wild mess at the end of it. But it was looking like I had a chance to win the $5 quite late there. So I was in the top 5 with the most time remaining of anybody in the top 50. I really needed some form of Hideki, Scheffler, and Dunlap to come in the top 3. That didn't happen. So a little bit of a frustrating one at the end, but it was a fun run. It looked like looked like I had a real chance there for a while. Sheets, how did you do overall this weekend? And
not that great, as you kind of commented Discord. I had a few kind of sweats on the showdown that one day, and yeah, it's tough to win showdown. So
I thought you were going to get it Saturday. It looked like you were holding it wire to wire, basically.
It was that one wasn't the one that was going to win. That was the one that was coming up from behind that had a chance.
Oh, right. Yeah,
and that poked its head, and then listen, it's kind of hard to fade everybody. So, but yeah, overall DFS wasn't great this weekend. But let's actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. Yeah. So yesterday, I was actually a little tilted. So yesterday, I like second in the battery, the single entry for like 3,000.
Nice,
which was good. But I was looking, and I so you weren't watching the game, so you couldn't really identify it. But in the lottery, I had a swipe with the Rangers in the bottom of the ninth. Mm-hmm. If Adolis Garcia hits like a walk-off home run there, I win like 50,000, like like that. And you didn't see it, but literally the bottom of the ninth, he hit the ball, and like it really was like 50-50 whether it's out or not. Like it was like way up in the air. He was kind of gazing at it, and then you see the fielder go back, and then I'm like, is he going to turn or is he going to look up? And he caught it. It was like it was a tough camera angle, and it was and that would have literally walked off the game for like 50,000.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, I ended up with I got like 8th or 9th or something like that for like 2,400 or whatever. But so that was fun, and I'm ready. Listen, no weather today, so that's good.
Yep,
I'm ready to get after it.
No weather, and yeah, ready to do it. It's an interesting pitching slate. We'll get into it as we go. It's not necessarily. I don't know if it's not comfortable. There's just some guys who you're just gonna. I don't know. I guess it's a little. I'm not quite as high on the pitching, I guess, today as maybe some others are. I guess. Anyway, all right, let's get into it, and we'll figure out what we'll do. We'll pull up your screen, and we'll go game by game here. Starting off with, I believe it's a solo game. Toronto, Cincinnati, and Toronto. What do you guys?
So right off the bat, I would like to mention that one big discrepancy between the sites actually is that I have Gausman as like a kind of a standout play on FanDuel, just because of the pricing over there. On DraftKings, as you kind of alluded to, the pitching is kind of spread for me. I like a bunch of guys and nobody that much more than the others. So I might make some ownership plays here. I think Gausman's fine here. He's projecting well enough. I have him tied with like 3 other guys that I like, and he's being owned, relatively efficiently at what 25% is what I imagine he'll get to. So yeah, I mean it's certainly a decent play. The other side of this, so you have Hunter Green. What is this? He went an MRI. He's back. I don't know what this is. So he declined to come in the injury to results. I don't know what this is. I mean, it says that he's going to play. They have him as I don't even know what this means. I have him as a probable pitcher right now. I don't know exactly if that's going to hold. I don't know. Nonetheless, I have who's supposed to be pitching for the.
It might be. I have Julian Aguilar.
Yeah, that's no wonder. Okay, because
he's not projecting. He's not. I don't think he's on the site, so I don't think.
Yeah, so I'm getting Toronto right now as if not the top, one of the top stacks on both sites. DraftKings certainly, and actually FanDuel a little bit, not as much of a standout, but certainly one of the top stacks. So yeah, for me, Toronto and Gausman.
Yeah, I like the Toronto idea. I actually don't think the ownership. I think it's hard to know without knowing 100% who's pitching, like what the ownership is going to end up like. But it doesn't look like it's anything to be running away from. I think they make a lot of sense if it is, in fact, any random pitcher from Cincinnati, and very, mediocre. I'm gonna just double check their recent bullpen numbers. I think I've got them. Yeah, it's actually been a better bullpen than I initially had thought they had been. But I do like Toronto a little bit, and I like Gausman as of right now. He's not necessarily my favorite, but I would like to probably be a little bit ahead of where he is on the field, especially in the lottery. I think that he's got plenty of upside here. Cincinnati, it's a big park downgrade for them, so I can certainly talk myself into to some Gausman here. Yeah. All right, moving along. Baltimore in New York.
I mean, you get a chance to play Baltimore against David Peterson if you want to do that. I'm not quite getting there though. If anything, you know what? I don't really have too much here. Listen, I have Peterson as one of 4. So I have like 8 pitchers that I'm looking at here on DraftKings, and he's one of them. But this is a tough matchup. I don't know if I need to be playing pitchers that I think are fishy anyway against teams like Baltimore, so I'm probably just going to avoid it. The Mets, though, on FanDuel, I have as being really good. So I would recommend probably the Mets on FanDuel, and I would say not much on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'm sort of struggling because there's a lot of stacks to like today, I feel like. And these two definitely fit the category for me. It's obviously not a great hitter's park. It is a pretty low total for Baltimore. They only got a four implied total. Peterson with a 5, five strikeouts expected. I'm sort of stuck on this one. I don't really know what I'm going to end up doing. So I'm open to Baltimore. I'm open to the Mets. I'm open to Peterson, but none of them stand out as being a massive priority. I think if I had to decide with any part of it that makes the most sense, probably it'd be just the Mets stack. But again, I don't feel like it stands out so far above any other one. So definitely open to the Mets, but not quite a priority for anything for me in this game. But I'm gonna have to make some tough decisions because I kind of like a bunch of stacks, but I don't have a bunch that I absolutely love. All right, next up, Pittsburgh and Texas, Ortiz and Urena.
Yeah, so this is a stack that I think we can both get behind. Texas on both DraftKings and FanDuel are rated pretty high. They're probably kind of expensive, I think. That's what I'm guessing, just because they're showing up as kind of just the raw points thing, but not really the value thing. So I'm just guessing they're all kind of expensive. But I definitely like the Texas side. And all right, so I have to say everything. So Pittsburgh on FanDuel has like an okay value rating. So you get to some Pittsburgh on FanDuel, I guess that's not bad. So both sets of bats I think are decent. Texas obviously the better one, and I'm not getting to any of the pitching.
Yeah, I'm definitely not getting into the pitching here. I'm actually surprised this total isn't a little bit higher. It's 8.5. Really weird to see a Urena started game where the opposing team has less than a 4-run total. I don't remember that happening ever. So I like SaberSim, and I ran some builds this morning, and of course SaberSim wants to put in as much of Pittsburgh as possible. So I'm good with Pittsburgh. I actually have Pittsburgh as a little bit better than Texas here, but I think both are extremely playable, and it's actually not that expensive for Texas. I'm kind of surprised they're not looking like a little bit better than they do. So I'm definitely good with both of these stacks, and I'm gonna have to rank them at some point. Having a very hard time doing that after going through my first stuff. But if you play on SaberSim right now, I think you'll be getting a lot of Pirates as well. And I kind of like that actually because they've got the lower total, but the Texas bullpen has been bad. Urena's been bad, and Urena's always bad, pretty much. And Ortiz has struggled a little bit. So I think this is a good spot to potentially get a game stack going. But again, it's just a lot of stacks that look pretty good today. So I'm gonna have to make some choices along the way. All right. Next up will be Boston and Houston.
I'm getting Kikuchi as one of the top 4 on DraftKings alongside of Gausman and 2 others. I'm getting him as kind of like a second-tier play on FanDuel. I have Gausman, as I mentioned, top play on FanDuel by a decent amount. Not a great matchup, not a great park. But he's at least he's a lefty. So you don't have to deal with like Devers and all that stuff. So I do like him, and I'm not getting to any of the hitting here. So for me, it's just going to be Kikuchi.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what was happening because when I first was looking, it looked like there was going to be extreme chalk actually on Houston, and now I see nothing. So I'm kind of trying to figure out. I guess they don't really know who's playing today for sure. So maybe that's part of the problem. And at one point, it looked like they'd have two. They have the Whitcomb and the and who is it? The other one, McCormick, that like both near minimum cost. So I don't particularly want to get to the hitting here, like out of my way to. But if you're looking for cheap value, they could have it there. I do like Kikuchi. The Red Sox strike out a lot against lefties, and he takes a huge park downgrade. Maybe it's a little bit more risk in this matchup because that's a decent offense that they're facing in general. But I do think Kikuchi he's got the highest expected strikeout on the slate, and as of right now, he's the first pitcher that I'm actually putting in the priority category. So that's pretty much all I have here is going to be Kikuchi, but. I may or may not, depending on how the Astros lineup shakes out, be using some pieces from there. But overall, not really interested in hitting on this slate here. All right, then we've got the KC, right? Angels in KC.
Yeah. So when I first looked at the rankings here, I'm gonna say shocked. I wasn't shocked. That KC just rating extremely highly on both sides, and I just presume that Canning was pitching for the Angels or something like that. But it turns out it's Fulmer. Not that Fulmer's any better, really, but I was just kind of expecting to see Canning. But yeah, so all the Kansas City guys look really good. I imagine they'll get owned. They always do. But just as far as projections go, I definitely like them. I'm not getting to Lugo, and again, every time that's not really projecting all that great. But I mean, you point him out from time to time as he's pretty damn good pitcher. So in a slate which you don't have anything that's that great, I don't mind getting into some of that, even though it doesn't project all that great. So for me, it's definitely going to be Kansas City, and maybe forcing Lugo if I have to.
Yeah, I think that. So I have Lugo as definitely somebody to consider today. I don't think he's the highest priority or anything, but I'll consider him against the Angels at 9,500. He's on my list, but I don't think he's going to crack like the top 5. I just think that he's going to be just on the outside looking in. And I do like the Kansas City. You're going to have to deal with some ownership, and because I like enough other stacks, they probably end up on the outside looking in for me, just because there's so many other teams that I feel like show up as being pretty good. But I do want to point out that the Angels first baseman, the Angels should have the Kavadas at first base. And he's 2K flat, and he should be batting cleanup again. So Nico Kavadas.
Okay.
They called him up from the minor leagues. He's got pretty good power. He's got a great eye. He walks a ton, and he strikes out a ton. So he's basically home run, strikeout, walk type of hitter. But he's like super, super cheap at 2K. So I am definitely okay with depending on where he's at in the lineup. He might bat at the bottom of the order, but right now I've got him projected on a couple of other sites on MLB.com. He's predicted to bat cleanup. And if he's batting cleanup at 2K, I'll definitely take a shot there. But yeah, KC is definitely the highest level of interest here. Just the problem is going to have to be the high ownership. All right, Tampa Bay and Oakland.
Is
that right?
Not 9K for Bradley seems like a lot, just kind of looking at it, but he's definitely showing up as one of the top plays. It's one of my top 4 on DraftKings. I already mentioned Kikuchi and Gausman. We'll get to the other one in a minute. But yeah, Bradley looks pretty good. And then FanDuel, I have him again in that second tier just below Gausman. I'm also getting to Tampa as a stack on both sites. So that's something to look out for. And that's pretty much all I have here.
Interesting. So I have Bradley as a bordering priority guy. He's going to be in the top 5 for me. I'm just deciding where he's going to end up. But the one who I actually think I want to play here is Joe Boyle. He's going to have low ownership. He's got electric stuff. He really, he throws 100 plus. He's not getting too much ownership. He's 7K. It's a good matchup. You've got the game is a 7.5 total with below 4 total for Tampa. I could see an argument for stacking Tampa, but I also could see an argument for playing Joe Boyle. And I think that I'm going to probably side with the Boyle that side of things. He's the only low-owned pitcher that I really have a lot of interest in today. So, yeah, definitely interested in Boyle on DraftKings. And Bradley probably going to end up somewhere near the field around his 30% that he ends up on
Interestingly, I'm getting some Boyle on FanDuel actually. So yeah, I'm down with that a little bit.
Let's see. Brandon says LaJoy just flipped himself in NASCAR. I'm not trying to.
I saw that, dude. Like literally literally flipped on the roof. I mean, he's just like.
What did he do?
I don't know exactly how it happened, but he's like literally he like flipped upside down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
there's a NASCAR race going on right now?
Yeah, because it rained yesterday, so they restarted at 11 o'clock.
Oh, gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, I have a semi-low owned William Byron who's leading the race, but I ended up most of them with a couple of chalky guys who wrecked out. So doesn't look pretty good for me. But well, yeah, you never know. NASCAR, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready for Minnesota, San Diego?
Yeah, Minnesota, San Diego. Go ahead, King, and I think it's going to be the Zebby Matthews again. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I was saying that King just it seemed kind of odd to see him at 94, 9,500, and he paid that off no problem. Like what's another 500? I guess. Been freaking rolling. So he's a kind of a priority for me on both DraftKings, and again, FanDuel is a little bit below Gausman, but certainly got no problem with this. I'm not getting any of the hitting. I'm not getting the other side of it. I don't know. It's kind of rough to see him at 10K, but I mean, you gotta show me that he's not worth it one day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, it's the slate we have in front of us, and he's 10K on this slate, and I think it makes perfect sense. I have him just below Kikuchi as my second favorite pitcher. Probably maybe a little less risk for King, and he's been consistently really, really good. Kikuchi maybe a little more upside. I don't even know if I would say that, but I think that I just think he's got maybe a little more strikeout upside. But I'm good with King against a Minnesota team that hasn't been great against right-handed pitching, and at the same time, I have no interest really in the stacks in this game at all. This is you have a nice low total. It's it's San Diego, obviously not a great hitter's park. The Zebby Matthews, I wanted to see if they made him like 6K again on FanDuel, and he helped me last week when I played him at 6K flat. They moved him up to 8,400 on FanDuel. He's not going to throw enough pitches, I think, to be relevant enough. But if you're playing 150, maybe you don't take him out of your pool, I guess is the best thing I could say about him. But yeah, it's mostly going to be just King for me from this game.
And here's just, by the way, just to show exhibit, 74. He was against Pittsburgh, and then he got wrecked, and then next start against Pittsburgh again, he put up a gem. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Even when he gets hit though, like he's still striking out enough guys to where he's not like killing you,
Yep.
All right. The White Sox in San Francisco.
Yeah, so both sides of the San Francisco thing look pretty good to me. I mean, I have Harrison just below the top 4 pitchers in that second group, and I have San Francisco as very playable against Cannon, like most teams are. So, like San Francisco, like Harrison, not the greatest. I guess not the greatest weather in the world. I hear it's really cold there. It's like, but nonetheless, I definitely like both sides of that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it taking a shot on San Francisco. I'm sorry, against Cannon tonight, and I do like Harrison actually. He's kind of let me down a few times this season, but I'm probably gonna go right back to him. I do think there's some upside here against the White Sox, and I don't think his ownership is gonna be I don't think he's gonna end up one of the 5 highest owned pitchers. So I am gonna go ahead, and if you're gonna spend down, I think Harrison and Boyle are the 2 guys, both the Bay Area guys that I would be interested in. And I couldn't get to Cannon myself, but I actually tried to consider it a little earlier. Like, is there any reason? And I just realized there's really not. It's really wild to watch the White Sox with this 2 point, this is like as high as their total gets, like 2.8. You don't see anybody else in the 2s except for the White Sox, and they are in the 2s every single day. But yeah, Harrison, and I definitely think that it's probably the first time in a while I've said that I like the Giants stack, but I like a lot of stacks today, so I don't know where they're going to end up for me. All right, now we've got Wu and Stone in LA.
I have Stone as a secondary option here. I mean, he's a righty against Seattle, and that by its nature puts him in play. I really don't mind him, actually. And as far as Wu, again, I guess the price is fair enough, but Dodgers are obviously a very, very tough matchup, so I don't think I'm going to get there. And as far as the hitting goes, I'm really not getting to either side of this. I guess I consider Wu good enough to keep me off the Dodgers somewhat. So I do like Stone, and that's pretty much the extent of my stuff here.
Yeah, I have actually. Excuse me. See, it's not quite gone yet. Even though I am, for all you guys, I am now officially negative, but I still got a little bit of the cough. All right, so Stone, I actually think is kind of being under-projected a little bit here. The thing that's a little bit worried, they just don't let him throw a ton of pitches. They don't let him work deep into games even when he's going well. I don't know how his ceiling fits in. So on a slate where we like some other stuff, I think that maybe it's not the most optimal. But I can say the same thing about Joe Boyle. So I actually think Stone and Boyle are like similar plays to me. I think that I'll probably be above the field in the lottery. And I think Harrison is the other cheap guy you can sort of go with. And there's no way in a million years I'm going to play Brian Wu against the Dodgers. And I, as always, am going to be above the field on the Dodgers, whether it's as a stack, as one-offs. I think it's almost 80 degrees again in LA. Been a nice hot summer, and the wind should be blowing out. They're back home. I want to see what their lineup is. Like, you might have Tommy Edman in there today. I'm wondering if Will Smith gets a day off and maybe they play Barnes. So kind of want to see their lineup before I decide. And Muncy was supposed to come back on Tuesday, but now I'm seeing him projected in the lineup today, which makes this lineup much, much stronger, much deeper. And if he is in fact back today, I think I will make the Dodgers a priority. I think that it just keeps the lineup moving. And if he's back and you have Tommy Edman batting seventh now, and you just sort of improved every spot in your lineup, I think this is a very, very reasonable spot to take a shot at the Dodgers.
I think it's a decent MME slate. They do have the knuckleball today instead of the other one, so you could play more entries if you wanted. And I do think it's a good slate for that, just because I really have no incredible priorities. I mean,
that's where I'm struggling too, and I like the multi-entry as well. I tried to I have the pitching pretty straightforward. I have the King, Boyle, Stone range at the bottom. The Boyle, Harrison, Stone at the bottom of the price range. King, Kikuchi, Bradley at the top, and then the one chalky stack that I'm going to probably be under on because they're going to be the most popular, and I just usually fade the most popular stack, is Kansas City. And I think that as of right now, I'm sort of stuck with Pittsburgh, Texas, Toronto, Baltimore, the Mets, and the Dodgers. So I haven't figured out which one of those I'll be. I'll have it figured out a little bit better by later. I did run some SaberSim builds, and as I mentioned, the Pirates and the Angels are showing up as the top stacks for the knuckleball. Of course, they're trying to get a lot. You want to get more and more different, and it makes you get more different in that one. And followed by the White Sox and then the Giants and then Baltimore. So it's interesting. There's a lot of playable stacks out there. SaberSim is trying to give you the super low owned ones, and I think there's some logic to taking some shots with those today. I don't think I'm going to get on the Angels and White Sox personally, but I do support the Pittsburgh idea. That's really where I'm at. Anything else, Sheets, before we get out of here?
No, we're good. I will see you at 6 o'clock for the live stuff and for the later live stuff, and that's about it.
Great. Looking forward to it. See you guys at 6, and good.